So far we have seen the importance of Holy Eucharist, and also there we understood the real presence of Jesus is experienced, the both nature, the human and divine nature, fully experienced in the Holy Eucharist. And then in the other two classes, I think, we were trying to understand the structure of Eucharist, how it is celebrated, especially the parts of Roman Missal. And we perceived that there are mainly two parts. The liturgy of the word and the liturgy of Eucharist. So what is proclaimed becomes flesh. The word becomes flesh. And before the liturgy of the word, we have the introductory rite. And after the communion liturgy of the Eucharist, we have the concluding rite. So there are three seats, two tables mainly, the table of word and the table of bread. Then the third seat is the presidential seat. There mostly there will be an ambo, and in American churches, even ambo is not there. The altar server will carry or show the Roman Missal to the priest. So now we are coming to the exact topic, the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. And we have seen in the liturgy of Eucharist, there is a particular rite called communion rite, which begins with Our Father. And that is the time that the role of the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion begins. So with the Our Father, the communion rite begins. And then the instructions are given normally to the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion when to approach the altar and what to do, all those things. I think mostly I have the points to share with you about this in the class. Anyway, in the celebration of Holy Eucharist, there is a particular rite called communion rite, and there the role of EMHC is there. Your role is there in this rite of Holy Communion. Now, you are preparing yourselves to be the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. It's not a Holy Eucharist. You are extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, only for that particular communion rite. So, we don't have an extraordinary minister for Holy Eucharist. We have only ordinary minister. So just a term clarification. The word itself, extraordinary minister, that itself specifies that there is an ordinary minister. So extraordinary minister differs from ordinary minister. Who is the ordinary minister of Holy Communion? Of course, the celebrant, the celebrants. It can be, the celebrants can be bishop or bishops, priest or priests, and also the deacon who assists. These are the normal, ordinary ministers of Holy Communion. They can, by their ministry, by their ordination, they have this particular responsibility or particular ministry of distributing Holy Communion. And in the seminary, the seminarians are there. They have a right, a minor order. We call it a small. Today we don't call it a minor order. These days we call it a kind of ministry assigned to them when they are in the second year or third year of theology, and that ministry is called acolyte. So all the acolytes in the seminary, the seminarians who have received this acolyte ministry are also extraordinary ministers. They are not ordinary ministers. So ordinary minister of Holy Communion is a bishop, a priest, and a deacon. So the term also, minister, it is clear. You are going to be extraordinary minister. There are already ordinary ministers. And you are going to be extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion, not Eucharist. And you are given this particular ministry only to distribute Holy Communion, only to distribute Holy Communion. In one church, I saw this extraordinary minister of Holy Communion opening the tabernacle and taking the consecrated big host for adoration. And I saw that person exposing the Blessed Sacrament, but that is not permitted. Maybe in certain churches or certain dioceses, if the bishop has given the permission for the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion to expose the Blessed Sacrament for adoration, then it is understandable. But in my diocese, where I saw this being done by an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, I said it is not your, you are not permitted to do it in the Archdiocese of Trivandrum. So you are given this particular assignment, ministry, only to distribute Holy Communion, not for any other function in the church, not for any other function in the church. So distributing Holy Communion, it can be during the liturgy, during the celebration of Eucharist. It can be for the sick. Those things I will explain one by one in the coming sharing with you or classes with you. So extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, EMHC, sometime this short form will be used hereafter, performs a great service to the church. So it is a very good, honorable, distinct, holy service that an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion does to the church. So it is a great service, because wherever there are a multitude of faithful participating in the Holy Eucharist, and the priest or the ordinary minister of Holy Communion will be finding difficult to distribute. Therefore, there are plenty of extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion to assist in this. Therefore, your performance, this extraordinary Minister of Holy Communion's performance, is a great service to the church. The extraordinary minister of Holy Communion distributes Holy Communion to God's people. Carefully you follow on those occasions where there are an insufficient number of priests and deacons to distribute Holy Communion to the people present at the Mass and to the homebound. So now you are preparing yourselves to be extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion. I take for granted that where you work, where you minister, where you participate, there are insufficient number of priests and deacons to distribute Holy Communion. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind always, you are being made extraordinary minister of Holy Communion for a particular diocese. I don't know how it is going to be. We can discuss maybe afterwards at the end of the class, at the end of today's or end of this course. Normally, the diocese prepares a group of extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion, and they have their own local rules. So, for example, in some dioceses, they have 18 years of old. That limit is 18 years. But in certain dioceses, it's 25. So each diocese where you serve has its own particular laws, regulations, rules concerning extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. So you distribute, the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion distributes Holy Communion to God's people on those occasions where there are an insufficient number of priests and deacons to distribute Holy Communion to the people present at the Mass and to the homebound. It is therefore an honor. It is an honor and privilege to serve the church in this capacity. So those who are preparing themselves to be the extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion must consider this is an honor and it is a privilege because you are being called or chosen and given training and then made, it's a kind of ceremony is there, and you are made extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion, and then you approach the altar, you carry the Holy Host and you distribute, and this is an honor. It's a privilege to serve the church in this capacity. And it requires a careful preparation on the part of the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. So you have gone through the importance of Eucharist and what it represents, the real presence of Christ, and what happens in the Eucharist that I showed you with the help of a video, and then what are the 4 parts of Roman Missal, the Eucharistic celebration. Now, in this particular liturgy of Eucharist, you have a communion rite. There, you are going to participate in distributing Holy Communion. Therefore, it requires a careful preparation on the part, from your part. So whatever you have learned in the last three classes are very important about the Eucharist. Now what follows next also is very much important for you to understand what it means to be a EMHC. The presence of extraordinary ministers in the church is a very new one. Earlier there wasn't, even before Vatican Council, you know that concelebration also was not allowed. Each one has to celebrate Mass individually. So there were small altars in the churches that was built, in the churches that were built before Vatican Council. So we have small altars where everybody can, each priest can celebrate Mass. So that time also the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion was not existing. So this one is a new phenomenon. It's very new in terms of history of the Catholic Church. You also know that there are married deacons being ordained today. And whether recently one priest was asking a question, a married deacon, permanent deacon ordained in a diocese outside India, can he assist in a church in Trivandrum? So those things are canonical. I couldn't answer him properly. So he might approach the Curia or the Chancellor of the Diocese to get more clarity. So it all differs. So even this married deacon also is a new phenomenon. It has come wherever there are much priests today. So communion service is being done by the deacon. Marriage is blessed by the deacon. Funeral is administered by the deacon. Baptism is given by the deacon. All such things are taking place. Now, similarly, this EMHC is a new phenomenon in terms of the history of the Catholic Church. Extraordinary minister of Holy Communion is accommodated to particular circumstances of the modern world and can be expected to develop as the Church has an opportunity to reflect upon this particular service offered to the Church. So it is a new development, but it can be extended because given the circumstances today, we need extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion. Even though I am in a small parish of 120 families here, on Sundays I have an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion to assist me. Otherwise, it will take a long time. So it has given an opportunity to the Church to reflect on the need of extraordinary minister of Holy Communion and to expand it, to develop this particular ministry. So now I am trying to give you a presentation that includes the guidelines of Catholic Church for the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. How do we define an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion? I'm just talking briefly. In short, an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion is a layperson or religious. We have mostly religious in our diocese, and the laypersons are not given this ministry. We have mostly religious, both the seminarians and also the religious nuns, women religious, and they are gathered once in a year and given given an immediate preparation of responsibilities of extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, and the bishop comes and gives them and installs them in a ceremony, a short ceremony, and they are made extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion for a certain period, maybe for 3 years, and they are given ID card also for 3 years or 2 years or like that. And once that expires, again they have to participate in another seminar or training that we conduct. So mostly we have lay persons. A lay person or a religious is an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion who has been deputed, and this person, this lay person or a women religious or a seminarian is deputed by the bishop for a period of time. I told here it is normally 3 years, for a period of time, or by a priest or a deacon for a single occasion. That is the difference. So you are going to be made extraordinary minister of Holy Communion for a period of time by the bishop. But after undergoing this particular seminar by training, you can also be made or deputed by a priest or a deacon for a single occasion. So each occasion, a priest or a deacon must ask you to be the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, to assist the priest and deacon in distributing Holy Communion to the faithful on those occasions where a shortage of ordained clergy makes it impossible for them to distribute Holy Communion to all the faithful in a reasonable way. So this is the reason why you are deputed by a priest or a deacon to distribute Holy Communion on particular occasions, each time when the demand is there, when the need is there. Okay. It is thus a privilege to which the church invites certain individuals under certain circumstances, and not a right. It is not a right. Once you have been given this particular ministry or privilege for 3 years, it is not your right to have to be a extraordinary minister of Holy Communion forever. That has to be made by the bishop for another 3 years or another 5 years. So it goes on. Because each time the character, the behavior, the life of the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion has to be evaluated. So, for example, when you were given for the first time, that person was leading a model life, marital life, but after 1 year, divorce or separation took place. Then, if it is taken to the attention of the bishop, then there will be a termination. So such things are always happening in the case of extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. So it is a privilege, it is not a right. And this privilege can be taken away in certain circumstances. The distribution of Holy Communion should not be seen as a more complete exercise of the priesthood. So when you are made extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, it's not a complete exercise of priesthood. You are not exercising in the priesthood of the priest, but it is a kind of privilege given only at that particular moment of liturgy, Holy Communion. You know, the exercise of priesthood is very wide, very vast, but yours is a privilege given to distribute Holy Communion. So it is to be looked at as a service of a function, that is proper to the ordained priesthood, but which of necessity must be carried out by others. So this is the difference that you must make, or an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion must make between the function of the priest and the function of extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. So it is not a complete exercise of priesthood, but out of necessity, the function is a certain one function that the priest carries out is deputed to carry out by another person. John Paul II, Pope John, now Saint John Paul II, points out this in his instruction, Dominice Sene. It is a Lord's Supper. Dominus, Lord. Sen is a supper. So there is an instruction issued by Pope John Paul II, Saint John Paul II, and there very clearly it is pointed out to touch the sacred species plural, the double species, the holy host and the holy blood, and to distribute them with their own hands is a privilege of the ordained, one which indicates an active participation in the ministry of the Eucharist. It is obvious that the Church can grant this faculty to those who are neither priests nor deacons, as is the case with acolytes in the exercise. So acolytes, I told there are seminarians in their second year or third year of theology is given this particular ministry, acolytes. So similar to that, you can, it is given, it is granted, this faculty is granted to other people other than priests, deacons or acolytes to exercise. So I think it is clear, here it is very clear, Saint John Paul II talking in Dominice Sene. And it continues, his instruction continues in this particular document. It is thus useful for the diocesan bishop to issue particular norms concerning extraordinary ministers, which in complete harmony with the universal law of the Church should regulate the exercise of this function in his diocese. So everybody cannot be extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, but the diocesan bishop has the right to grant this function to certain people, and he can regulate this number, and also he can cut this exercise, cut this function after having given. There are certain reasons for that. So this is clear for you, the definition of extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. Again, in this particular instruction of Pope John Paul II, we continue to understand such norms should provide, among other things, for matters such as the instruction in the Eucharistic doctrine we have gone through, of those chosen to be extraordinary ministers. So when you have this preparation for preparation to become extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion, instruction about the Eucharistic doctrine must be given. The meaning of the service they provide, that has to be given. the rubrics to be observed, the gestures, how to enter, how to bow down, what to do when the holy consecrated host falls. All these rubrics, what is the gesture of approaching the altar, all such rubrics to be observed. This has to be explained. The reverence to be shown for such an august sacrament. All these things must be included in the training, and instruction concerning the discipline on admission to Holy Communion. All such. So in my short narration, I include all such things. And I think you are sure with the Eucharistic doctrine by now. The proper term for lay people delegated to distribute Holy Communion at Mass is therefore extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. So, so far, around half an hour, what I have explained was the definition of extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. And by now, you are very clear, you are not an ordinary minister. You are an extraordinary minister. You are going to be an extraordinary minister. You are not an extraordinary minister of Holy Eucharist, but you are going to be extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. And in the liturgy of the Eucharist, you have a small rite called Holy Communion rite, which begins with Our Father and ends with the distribution of Holy Communion. And there, in that particular part, you are going to play a function, a privileged function, a holy function. And that is what we call extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. The preference for this term is noted in Redemptionis Sacramentum, number 156. Sacrament of Redemption is the English translation of this document. It's an instruction on the proper way to celebrate Mass, issued by again Saint John Paul II. It states, this function is to be understood strictly according to the name by which it is known. That is to say, that of extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, not special minister of Holy Communion, nor extraordinary minister of the Eucharist, nor special minister of the Eucharist, by which names the meaning of this function is unnecessarily and improperly broadened. So, very clear for you. I need not explain much about this. You are going to be extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion. The term extraordinary minister, which had been commonly used, is likewise inappropriate and should be avoided. Thus, the use of extraordinary minister of Holy Communion must be considered a sign of shortage of priests and deacons, and should be an encouragement to pray for an increase in holy vocations to the priesthood and diaconate. So, even after receiving this particular function, don't stop to pray for the increase of vocations to priesthood and diaconate. Oh, now I have this function, therefore let me remain. If there are more priests or deacons, my function will be curtailed. No, such thinking should not be there. Now, when extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, ministers of Holy Communion are called, first, priests are not present and there is a truly large number of communicants. The priest who celebrates the Eucharist may call upon extraordinary ministers to assist him. Normally, there are books or registers kept in the parishes to enroll your name or assignment. You will be assigned because the priest knows how many number of faithful will be participating in the Mass. Therefore, how many extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion he needs, all such things. So you will be called by the priest when there is a large number of communicants. That is one occasion. Second is the extraordinary ministers may distribute Holy Communion at Eucharistic celebrations only when there are no ordained ministers present, or when those ordained ministers present at a liturgical celebration are truly unable to distribute Holy Communion. So there are sick priests concelebrating who cannot stand for a long time. There are sufficient priests, but they are unable to distribute Holy Communion. In that particular situation, you will be called to assist the priest. Now we come to the third vocation. Third one is they may also exercise this function at you. They means this extraordinary ministers. Now I address you. You may also exercise this function at Eucharistic celebrations where there are particularly large number of faithful and which would be excessively prolonged because of an insufficient number of ordained ministers to distribute Holy Communion. So, in the first case, there aren't priests, only one priest, but more faithful, then you are called. In the second case, there are priests, but only one priest is able to distribute Holy Communion. The other persons are sickly, unable. Then you are called. Now there are priests, but the number is very large. Communicants number very large. Therefore, you will be called to distribute Holy Communion. It's very simple. Then fourth occasion, the instruction, EMHC caritatis. So you are learning a lot of Latin expressions. It's good to note because all these documents are related to extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion. So this is the third document that we are coming across. EMHC caritatis. I think there is a exam for you at the end, and there you may have to write all these documents probably. So what is the meaning of EMHC caritatis? Immense love. It is issued again by, it is issued by Pope Paul VI. He adds a fourth reason, to bring communion to the sick when no priest or deacon is available, or when they are impeded by other ministers. So there to distribute communion to the sick, also you are called. So these are the four occasions. I'm coming to the end of today's sharing. In short, there are four occasions when the church calls upon the service of extraordinary minister. At Mass, when the presider is physically unable to distribute Holy Communion. At communion services, when no ordained minister is available. At Mass, where the great number of faithful prevents the priest and the deacons from distributing Holy Communion to all of them. And finally, to the sick, when they are unable to be visited by a priest or a deacon. So this is my sharing for you today. I hope you could follow what I have done. If you have any clarification to make, please, you are welcome.